I've always been an outcast, and I've always been cool with it or content with it. I do 140 to 190% every job. As an artist, you are like a phonograph, and life is the record. You know, you're audibly projecting the human experience. Everyone wants to go viral until you go viral. Because if you're not ready to go viral, it gets ugly real quick. I'm like an ornate, eclectic, metaphysical geek, nature, technology, Frankenstein baby.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Blueprint by Smoking Gun. Today I got Jerod DTOX Davies. He's known as just a creative human, one of the most interesting people I've ever met. So let's dig into that mind of his. Man, first off, just want to say thanks for coming down here. I know it's been a little bit of a time that we've been talking about you getting on the show, and so I really appreciate you coming.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for including me in your legacy of creation. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, man. I really meant that when I said one of the most creative people that I've ever met. I think the first time I ever met you was at a gallery show that I was a part of as well. And I looked over and you were shaved right down the middle. Like,
yeah.
This side, full hair, full beard. I think your eyebrow was gone everything else was gone. Eyebrow, everything, right? So it was just like
everything but the eyebrow, but half facial, half, yeah.
So
that was one of my yin yang.
What was that about?
What would it be? Just experimenting with my silhouette, low key, and the sensations that come with that. Like when you get a fresh buzz cut and you feel the wind on it. I just had a random idea. I was like, what if I just felt that on half my body, and just fueled by just random thoughts like that, and then staying up late at night. And that's like a deadly combo where I wake up and half of my hair on half of my head is gone.
So this is something that you thought late at night, executed late at night, woke up the next morning like, well, that was something.
Well, I actually thought about it like a whole couple days. And then leading up to a gallery show where they were going to film me late at night, I was like, wouldn't it be crazy? Because they saw me 2 days ago. And when I show up to film, half of everything's gone and there's no time to not record me. And so that was actually the driving thought.
Okay.
And then, and then just late at night, hitting the green button on it and just making it happen.
What was the experience like when you showed up and you had this recording?
The people who were like the director or the crew were stunned, but the gallery owners were just smiling because they already know me, and kind of know it's anything can transpire in a matter of moments or things. So they were just smiling. They're like, right this way.
Come on in. Tell your story. What would you say is your number one as an artist? Just so everybody who doesn't know, DTOX is an artist that I've seen spray paint, acrylic, resin, just a little bit of everything, but which is kind of me too, right? Yeah. But what is your favorite medium that you like to play in?
I could never say favorite, but I would say the one that is dominant or prevalent would be spray paint, just because it gives back to me as quickly as I need things to happen. Because I kind of call them like art grenades. Like when I get into a zone, like I'm pulling pins, I want stuff to explode. I need this whole area of this wall to be blue right now. And that kind of aesthetic. That's how I create in like a flow state where I don't really take too much time to judge myself or hinder myself with overthought. And so spray paint, there's a marriage, a silent marriage that happened that is more rewarding than other styles for me, And so I say spray paint, but like each one is, I'm a body paint artist, so like working with like the shape of someone's body and, just what can we turn this person into or what can they transform into, There's addictive qualities to every medium. That's why like I never have truly let any one of them die. The pulse of it may slow down and like I haven't, body painted in a year or, 10 months or, I'll do face painting at my kid's school or, stuff like that. But I'll keep the pulse alive and chip away at each of them because each one of them is a gem that I'm like creating facets on. Yeah, metaphorically.
I'll say this: like, what most of us artists in general, and you can agree or disagree. Most of us artists are, I would say, probably a little more disorganized. There's a few of us that I consider myself an organized artist. I don't know if other people see me that way or not, but every once in a while, like there's some group settings that we've gone to, like the place we did in Highland Park that had all the stuff we did on the floor, right? And there was like maybe, I don't know, 20 artists in that thing at one point, and I'm walking around looking at everyone's style that's inside of this thing. And some people just have buckets and they're pouring and they're splashing and they're doing all kinds of stuff. And I walk past your area and there's a blanket on the ground and in perfect order. And I don't mean just like in piles. I mean like OCD to the max lined up across this deal. I even took a picture of it. I'll see if I can find that thing.
Yeah,
but I was like,
flash that on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, dog, like I don't know anybody that does this. Like I'm pretty organized, but I don't do that.
Well, and part of that actually came from, me just nerding and geeking out, watching old Kung Fu flicks. And I'd see these random scenes where you come into the weapon room and everything is splayed and arrayed and little prongs holding everything at their separation. And what hit me was it'd be a scene where there's a violent attack. So he runs into this room and in a millisecond, he looks at all the walls and he picks the little weapons he wants, turns around and defends his whole village, So there's like little things like that where I'm like, dang, put every weapon out, visual, separated. And in the moment of conflict or in the moment you need it, select the proper weapon in a moment's notice with no and so that, and then when I saw the Batman or Joker movie where he had all his weapons laid out in a circle, then that was the reminder, like, no, like I need to like for real do this. And I had done it a couple times, but then after that movie had come out, I was like, no, I'm gonna take the time when I'm setting up, take that extra time. And I don't know if you noticed, but it was like an organ or a circle where it only lets me in like 30%. I do like a 70% circle and I'm the missing piece that completes that circle. And I'll do it behind me. So my job site is here and behind me is like an organ or a almost complete circle of supplies behind me. Yeah. So I just pivot, turn around,
You walk in and stand in the middle of a circle desk.
Yeah. And the reason why like it became more than a one-time thing was I noticed the percentage of results of like flow state or I noticed, this is actually keeping me in flow state. When I'm scrambling through piles of brushes looking for this certain thing, I took that extra 10 minutes and all the medium rounds, all the filberts, all the chiseled edge, everything's in its own section. And so reaping the rewards of staying in flow state because of that prep, I was like, oh, this is a done deal. Like, it's dang near gotta be this way, and I'll still, you saw, or you might, by the time I'm done my session, stuff's obliterated. Yeah. Because there's times I'm scrambling, I'm on my knees and crawling, So not to say that it stays perfect, because by the time it's done, everything's obliterated, low key, But starting out the race organized, I noticed the difference.
I try to keep all my colors in similar, like, the cans come in packs of 6 or whatever. And so I try to keep my blues and my greens and my reds and everything separated up so I can go back to the certain areas. Yeah. And so I don't, like I said, I try to stay organized when it comes to that. And I keep things in areas and piles and whatever. But when I saw that, I thought, I need to ask him about this. Because I don't know if you remember, but I went over and like, we were right next to each other, I think, as our spot last time.
One away, yeah.
And, I just remember looking over and seeing how organized that was. And I thought, well, there's something deeper to that. There's more like, he's either got something that's OCD, or he's doing this for display purposes. Right.
No, I mean, I'm sure I have OCD, ADD, ADHD, you know, WTF, you know, but I'm not the type to let someone's like perception and diagnosis of me like guide my journey, you know. So yeah, I'm sure there's OCD up in there somewhere, but I haven't paid anyone to tell me that I'm OCD, you know.
Yeah. So. You think you got it locked in already? Yeah. Well, that's cool. No, I mean, even the style of your artwork with spray paint is very different when you step in other realms. Take this cow skull, for example. Very calculated.
Yeah. You flip it over, and the underside, the crevices between the molars is painted, you know. And part of that is like, you know, I come from a family of artists. My mom's a portrait artist and a doll maker and a furniture maker. And my dad's an architect, interior designer, and furniture maker. Like, it's just this smelting pot of artists. And I was raised watching them go to their creative threshold and then push over, you know, watching them, you know, for days, or, you know, finish something and is it done? And they're just concentrating, you know, squeezing, like, is there any more I can do? Is there, how do, you know, before I turn this over to the clients, was there, you know, and watching my mom have an idea late night. Oh, this pattern of this cushion the pattern is 1 inch off from the front of this other cushion. So I'm going to take this whole cushion apart that's already finished, cut a new pattern that's 1 inch over. So the pattern goes up from this cushion to this cushion in a perfect match. And then seeing her realize, oh, the welt, which is like a cording around a cushion, that actually could be adjusted to where the pattern matches in the welt. And then onto and just seeing that and being like, okay, she's low-key punishing herself a little bit. Yeah. But then when you see the finished product and it's a floral, like silk floral pattern where the shine and shimmer is uninterrupted over all kinds of different contours and facets, you know, where I'm like, man, that made the difference. And then for her, you know, she only made that flub a couple times because from then on, she was just aligning stuff, you know, and putting it into her recipe. And they have an upholstery shop in Michigan where they still live. And they're known, like, they advertise barely, a random post or whatever, but their word of mouth, when the old lady has her friends over and they see her couch, there's waves of orders just ripple affecting from that. And so I take that as my own part of my own recipes. I call it I do 140 to 190% every job. There's no way to do 200%. Like, I give myself a little grace or whatever, you know, but that's mentally where I'm at. I'm doing 100%. Then I'm going 110, 120, 130, 140. I can't stop till I at least reach 140% of what they were expecting. Like, go beyond. I need to go almost half more. I need to, you know, give. And so, like, you know, and I could ramble and spin it, you know, but that's like the thing is do the most. And then every time you do the most, you carve out another chamber in your your endurance. And so every time you go 140 and 190 every job, just doing 100% becomes easier. Because you push. How do I max this out? How do I over deliver for the client? How do I like, I just did 3 album covers for this band called Davies. And one of the few times I was like for real over my promise date, like weeks past and that never happens with me. But it's because there's a few late night sessions where it was more of a rougher style and looser and more energetic, a little gritty. And one late night session, I went high res cinematic. And then when I woke up from that session, I go, I can't go back. Like, all 3 covers have to go cinema, like backdrop, Return of the Jedi level, whatever. So, like, I didn't want to, like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like string them along. Right. Like, I could turn them over now. Yeah. But just like, let me do my thing. Yeah. You know, and I know I'm late, you know, and then them seeing it, they're like, bro, like 12 out of 10, I would wait 6 more months for this art if I knew this is what was happening. Yeah. You know, and then, and you know, 80 hours with a brush with 15 hairs, you know, I'll send you some of the photos, put them on screen right now, you know. but it looks like backdrop matte paintings for Star Wars and stuff, you know, well, to me, you know what I'm saying? And so that type of thing, you know, to super answer that question would be like, I was raised in an environment where you're challenging yourself because you're your own critic. You're your biggest fan, your biggest support, you know?
Yeah.
So like, don't, you can lie to other people. Don't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I know what I'm capable of. And so if I don't push myself every time, like, I feel like I'm cheating myself and the person who trusted me. And so then that ripple effect becomes, of momentum becomes my advertising. Like, I don't advertise.
Yeah.
Like my little @ DTOX art on the mural, or, you know, and that's it. You know, because the ripple effect of someone witnessing the mural being like, hold on. And they'll inbox me, yo, I just saw how much you charge for, you know? And that becomes a thing because I pushed myself to over deliver every time. And I just ride that momentum. You know, because it's like riding, it's like forcing exponential growth and then surfing on the crest of that.
So what you're saying is, like, you said 140, 190%. That sounds ridiculous to a lot of people out there, right? And I want to try to elaborate on this, and you tell me if I'm hitting on this. 140 to 190% is not truly, you can only get 100% of who you are. Only do that. But what you're suggesting is you want to overperform their expectations of you by at least half.
Right? Yeah. Well, and from like myself, because like a lot of artists, or I've seen a lot of creatives, because I paint live. I'm a live painter. So I love watching other live painters paint. And I'll see someone render something just till it's here. You know, these are the jeans, they're blue. There's a little bit of wrinkle in them, you know, a little bit of a lighter blue. Okay, I'm going on to the next part. Cool, that's fine, you know, because everyone's style is different. You know, like I love, you know, like in aerosol or urban art, like I love overspray and off kick. You know, that's some of the best moments, you know. But then I see a lot of artists where it's like, it's technically here. Like you rendered that, but you didn't dive in and make me believe that the blue jeans are there.
Yeah.
You could have spent 5 more minutes and put some abrasions. You know about the wear of the thing and the you know, or the little dots of orange next to the blue to where, is that some Levi stitching? You know, little things, because as an artist, you are like a phonograph. And life is the record. You know, you're audibly projecting the human experience as a creative. And as a commission artist, you're saying, hey, I'm going to take everything that the creator has given me and that I've honed to a high level, you know, a very tight machine or whatever, and I'm going to surrender part of my vision. I'm going to hold back and truly take in your vision. And I can't just erase your vision because my vision is more OCD or more artistically ADHD or just whatever it is, you know, like, oh, I got more details or so like there's that fine line where it's like, and to come back to your thing is it's a split between knowing what I'm capable of and the paint is technically done, but I didn't push myself to paint the best pair of blue jeans I've ever painted. Because like, I'm a firm believer, like you're only as good as the last thing you've done.
Sure.
You know, like truly. Sometimes that's the first thing that's how they meet you is your last thing, you know, and so there's the other side of it where did you take their idea and truly honor them while also elevating it? And like, if you truly absorb their story or what they were trying to get off, there should be a connection as a commission artist or an artist that's fulfilling someone's request visually to visualize like there's a missing piece that you show them that makes it now even more real for them. And that's what I'm striving to do. Did I comprehend the mural that you're trying to do for your business so well or whatever that by the time I deliver it, you go, this is what I was thinking, like this corner over here. And then all this, I wasn't even thinking, but now that I see my element and my contribution that you respected combined with yours, like that is the full story I was trying to tell. Then thank you.
Yeah.
Like, damn, like, and so like I've live off of that or fuel off of that replenishes my passion and drive when I know that I've aced it to the point of like blowing their mind.
You gave them more than they were expecting. Totally.
Yeah. And I pushed myself and surprised myself. So I'm standing next to them. They're wild. I tried to stay in flow state so much that I was a passenger when this was being made as well. There's a part of me that when you stay in flow state so hard or so intensely, as Jerod, as just the human that likes all of these things, I'm also sitting back watching Jerod, the artistic or the creative human, the expert that's done the 10,000, 20,000 hours. So I'm also sitting there just, so at the end of it, when I reveal it to the client, and I've come out of flow state and it's been a day or two or a couple hours, I'm standing next to them in awe, surprise. Like, damn, there's a lot of times where I'm like, damn, I really made it. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm playing it cool, but like, I'm surprised too.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I didn't like hinder myself. I challenged myself. I didn't like, oh yeah, the blue jeans are there. I'm done. Where's the check?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not leaving until like we reinvent the blue jeans or I do paint a museum level pair of blue jeans right now.
All right, I'm going to ask you on that because that is somewhere where I don't say I struggle. I try to find the balance between. There's one between storytelling and concept, realism, right?
Right.
And sometimes I challenge myself and I find myself becoming too real in a situation because to me, it's only as good as how realistic in certain points it feels. But then I'll also find myself becoming a different artist at that point. Right. And I'm like, all right, now, like I really don't want to do peach skin tone on people. Like I don't want to do that. I want to do something that is more conceptually, listen to my story, listen to what I'm trying to tell you versus how real are those blue jeans?
Right. Okay. So yeah, very good point. So part of that is also as the hours you clock as a creative or the years, just whatever, however you're gauging it or the amount of just finished works and happy clients, there is a thing where you've gone too far and you did too much or you ruined it. There was, sometimes I say like when the painting's halfway done is when it's really done, And so I am a advocate and I listen to that as well. There's some stuff where like something will splatter or something, whatever. And I'm like, hold on, like before I clean up this mess or correct it, like, is this, we're working or,
Yeah.
And so there is a thing of like knowing when, call it like between me and my brother, we'd randomly, be having sessions and it's like graduating from the school of knowing when to stop. And you don't graduate from that school until you've messed up a couple. And you can start, there's like a sixth sense where you're like getting to that no return point where like any movement after this is a negative to this piece.
Yeah.
Or, is a hindrance or a percentage of we can lose it.
Yeah.
And so,
Overwork.
yeah, there is some, and so that's also like giving yourself grace, where allow yourself to keep creating. And then there's times when I do mess up. I went too far and I'll be like, ooh, okay, need to correct that. And then halfway through correcting it, I'll be like, actually, I don't need to fix all of it because
some of that's
the parts that I've just corrected, now I have a feeling where I'm like, dang, I kind of like what this is saying or what this did or, So there'll be times where I totally won't buff my mistake either. Or, there's also because I teach art classes and teach body painting classes or taught, body painting classes at a makeup school, to where it's their final exam is my 5-day intensive class, and it, like you create until like an alarm or a feeling starts happening of comfortability or uncomfortability, and if you mess up, basically I always tell my students or people I'm working with, just keep going. Okay, oh, an alarm just went off and that part doesn't look right now. Okay, now work next to it. And I work in a circle and I work away from the problem. And what I do is just little passes, little other things I can do in the piece. Like, it's almost like when you get in an accident, you get out of the car and you walk in the grass in circles till the cops come. That's kind of how I describe it.
Okay.
Little accident happens.
Yeah.
Step away from the wreck, walk around a little bit, catch your breath. So I'm going around the painting or the mural wall, doing other things. By the time I get back to that problematic area, do I still hate that problem as much as I did when it first occurred? And I take a little gauge. Yeah, no, it's still horrible.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
Or sometimes by the time I've done some work next to that, and that's why I start in a circle. If there's a problem here, I do a little painting right next to it. And I give it like distraction buddies. Here's some new elements or new brushwork. Here's some new things happening to the canvas that are either creating a distraction that takes the impact away from this problematic area, or have I done this blending or done this flecking or done this other style that explains or justifies that quote unquote mistake. Because me as the artist, I'm the one holding myself to a rigorous, intense success or fail gauge, you know, or scale, you know, and so a lot of times I use that method and tell my students that, okay, you made a little mess up, work next to it, and then go low or pick which direction you want to go, but go in a circle. And when you come back to it, tell me if it's even a problem, if you even remember what the mistake was. Because a lot of times after you work for an hour, you come back and you're like, what was the mess up? And you have to like search for it. Oh, yeah.
Which means it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. And then you know, the work you just did, or it allows you time to breathe and you're like, okay, here's the real mess up part of it. It's just this, and this.
Yeah.
You know,
gauge yourself a little bit.
And so, you know, there's like a reoccurring thing where it's like, don't be too hard on yourself. You know, as a creative, just taking pigments, mica clay, mica mineral, you know, just whatever the thing is that we just call art supplies. Like, you have to realize you're doing a magical thing by taking these elements basically from the earth and arranging them strategically to interpret or reinterpret the human experience to the point of connecting with someone you know or don't know, to the point of inspiring, breaking their heart, making them angry, making them laugh, you know, like all that is like super sacred. Like, we forget that, like, if we were in like the first tribe of man doing this on a cave wall or whatever, like, you know, when you put your hand on the wall and you blow the paint, how it spits out is, you know, they weren't like, oh, I don't like this spatter over here. They're like, no, this is my hand. I was alive here and I hunted these bison and it was this moon. And, you know, so like just what you're doing without the perfection, like that is the echo in eternity, you know? And so like Picasso, saying all that to say like Picasso, you know, if you see some of his other early work, it was photoreal or, you know, very dramatic portraiture with hard lighting and you know, perceived cool shadow effects under the chin. You know, it was amazing. And then as he went through his journey, the deconstruct, you know, he's chasing an emotion, or he's interpreting the human experience of, you know, of industrial revolution colliding with the time that we have at home with family decreasing.
Right.
You know, or, you know, Basquiat drawing through the eyes of like the prehensile eyes of a child that has no sensor, while still taking in the, you know, all his stuff having the random numbers and mobile Exxon, you know, colliding corporate giants with the like, not intuition, but the word I'm trying to say, like the inquisitiveness. Like Basquiat's inquisitiveness of a child mixed with the knowledge of an adult that's stuck in a machine, you know, that's what made him echo for all time. So that's what, you know, I'd be long-winded just because I love this stuff. But basically what I'm trying to tell other artists is your imperfection, your imperfected style, or the thing that you're like beating yourself up for, that's actually your calling card. That's your echo right there. Right. Like, you know, some of your line work where it's like, there's a first layer of line work, then there's a full render of paint, and then you come back on top and say, no, this line work ain't fully going away. We're bringing it actually back. Or I'm going to do a diluted line work that is like a shadow of the first line, you know, I love that about you. Like, where I'm like, damn, like, I wish I would have thought, like, it's the line work that doesn't go away, that purposely comes back, and there's paint in between that, and the glazing effect. I guess what I'm trying to say, like, some of your translucency of your layers, while there's still like an opacity to it, like, that's, no one can take that from you.
Yeah. And what's funny about that, because I believe that people are influenced by everything. Like you said, Picasso and the journey he took, like, people say something's like really good because it's, you can, like, someone who's not an artist can say, man, that's talent. But then you see his later work and you see a lot of people go, well, I could do that, right? But the journey of that man, that's still inside there and he's telling the story. But that was his skill set of what he wanted to get to, right? For mine started out, I mean, I could draw since I was a kid and I could paint since I was a kid. I've been doing that forever. But I got into the corporate world and I got into learning software. And as I got into learning software, I got into using Photoshop and I got really good at using Photoshop. But now that's the way my mind is programmed, right? I notice it in my artwork as I'm putting it through there. It's a layer and then a layer and then a layer and a layer and a layer stacked on top. So for somebody to say, I notice that you're stacking these things on top, that's just how it's papers, just the translucence on top of each other, almost like a flip book, on top.
But I'm also registering that as there's an emotional depth where I'm translating it as like, dang, like your first strokes or your first sketch doesn't have to be covered. There's like a poet, like you can poetically dive into someone's style where you're just like, no, it's Photoshop. It's just layers. It's my brain. And I'm like, no, but it's both. I know it's both.
100%. Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, the way that someone can gravitate to like your recipe and pull an emotional resolution or pull an emotional message that's directed to them, or receive an emotional message that is just directed to anyone who can catch it.
Right. And so out of that process, you have to be able to tell your story out of it, right? Whatever program, like, dude, your Galaxy stuff really kind of blows my mind, right? Like, I've sat there and watched you flick stuff, and I've watched you do the, hard edge on one side and soft on the other stuff. That really kind of blows my mind is some of the stuff you've created with plants and organic nature and stuff like that, and it's not how my mind works. So I sit there and I look at somebody like that and I'm trying to calculate how you got to that point, right? What are you doing? How are you processing that? Because that part to me is the most interesting. And that's why when I start doing this, like, I'll sketch stuff out and then I either love it or I don't. And that's why you'll see stuff stay and go with the different levels of, well, maybe I'll just mock it in with the side of a can, and then all of a sudden I'll layer something with the top and scratch it back in this way, and then do that, and then kind of, because I feel like I can kind of, it's almost like pushing clay.
Yeah.
When you start doing that, like the bottom level and the top level and the medium level, whatever, it's kind of like pushing clay. And there's times where I had no playbook for getting there.
Right.
It just unfolds.
Yeah.
And you sat there and, like you said it earlier, like, I've gone back and looked at some hand treatments. Like I did one lately of a lady with a crown on her head, and her hands were praying like this. And the levels I went to create the shadows and the spatter and the line work and everything else, I was impressed with myself afterwards.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, it's like, and I've done 1,000, different paintings.
And I would say, like, where artists or creatives who are like in it to win it, or highly concentrated or highly focused, surprise themselves, I think is in that push and pull. Because where you're like, a little here, like a recipe, kind of like a little of this, a little of that. Oh, there's too much of that. I'll cover a little of that. Because you get to a sweet spot that, like, a recipe happened, but it wasn't written down. You're like feeling your way through it. Like grandma's biscuits, it's this much salt.
Yeah.
Well, how much is that? Well, do your hand like this and do like this. That much.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a personal thing that the recipe only shows up. And a lot of artists or people who ask for lessons or say, hey, I want to come watch you work. I'm like, sure, come on, they'd be like, how did you learn that? I'm like, I didn't know until, like, I was like covered in paint on my hands and knees, bleeding. Like 8th session in the wind. And then in West Texas, wind so strong, I'm 2 inches from the wall and the wind is it's not even hitting the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I have to make a cardboard
dome
barrier.
Yeah.
I have to work inside this cardboard barrier. And I need to make these clouds on this planet appear in 60-mile-an-hour winds. Because like the mural's due tomorrow. There's like people on golf carts coming by talking about like the party's already started and I'm still working on. Long story short. So I had to like be like, how am I going to finish this like thing? I have to render this stuff in the wind. Like I have to defeat nature right now, which is my enemy. And I love nature, you know? And so you invent only out of like being in the trench. You're like, oh, we're gonna like, you know, warfare tactics. We're going to explode something over here. And while that's exploding, we're flanking, and, you know. And so it's only through the experience of being down in the moment and making a mess. You know, that's why I tell everyone, you want to find your style, start painting and just make a mess. 100%. Because when you're doing damage control to stuff dripping or, you know, or dilutions or, I need to scrub this or, you know, like some of my styles of like prepping a background, someone would be like, dang, like how'd you, I'm like, well, I painted the painting, I rolled the whole background and I let it tack up. And I took it out in the backyard and sprayed the thing down with the garden hose and pulled away everything that was still wet. I pulled it away and does this like concrete Doppler effect, you know.
Done it.
And I only discovered that. No one taught me. There was no YouTube. You know, I try and stay, you know, as much as I absorb other artists, I also like try and respect the like, don't just absorb all the greats. And then now you're trying to like do some like Frankenstein where I'm half Dolly, half, you know.
Explore, do your thing.
And so like just putting on instrumental music and just in the lab, basically, you'll discover something or you'll remember you'll remember a discovery you forgot every time you touched your elements or your things, you know, like say all that to say like, every job I'm still learning, you know, or remembering a lesson from the like, the dilution and the pull away with the wet towel, not the dry, because the wet leaves a different imprint. Like, yes.
You
know?
Did that with soap one time. I mean, I've played some games with that time. It's all really cool how paint reacts to different things, right? And you don't know when you try it. But you try it just to kind of play around and see what happens. And you're like, dried pretty cool. Really like that. Gonna do something else. You know
or like Japanese calligraphy masters, the way they whip and smear, and there's like a pressure and it only looks like that because they know like there's a reactionary that you're holding an element and it's reacting to the force and the tenderness of how you're babying it or of how you're disrespecting it. You know, I'll paint disrespectful, very disrespectful sometimes, and it has this certain energy. And other times I'll be very respectful. Oh, this drip, let me catch it, you know? And so you can harness certain emotions and braid and weave certain emotions by pushing and pulling just to, you know, bring it full circle. That pushing and pulling is vital.
When you have a client that comes to you and says, I want this type, because I know you jump from different styles, right? Yeah. Very calculated to very organic, right? When you have a client that needs something from you, do you channel a different vibe in you? And if so, how do you do that?
In the initial talks, I basically set up parameters, or I call them like fencing. So, you know, my style is, if I think of my style as like a herd of cows or bulls, what fence are you setting up for me to let my herd in? Are you telling me it's just a fence line and you just can run in as long as you pass this threshold, just go any direction you want, you know, and that stuff? Or through our talks and our meetings, have you set up so many fences that I have to go through like a maze to complete the course or to see victory line or, you know, the finish line? And so through those first, you know, I can catch it in 1 minute of talking, or sometimes it takes 3 hours of meetings with a board of 8 people, you know, it just depends what it is. But I'll absorb that and I'll be like, okay, here's my parameter fences. From what they said here, all this is so crucial. They're brand colors. We can't use pink and orange because that's the competitor's colors. So that's part of my fence. No orange, pink. You know, their 100-year whatever is centennial. It's 100, time, legacy. You know, so their verbiage and their specifics are setting up my fences. And then that allows me to, when I let my herd of creativity in, metaphorically, where they can run, you know, and so saying all that, a lot of times clients just see my work and we want you to do your thing.
That's cool.
And
I love
I'm
that
honored.
part.
But then I literally say, and it's gotten to the point where I go, okay, I used to just say, cool. And I used to do my thing. But now there would be a couple times in my career where when I did my thing, they came back and they were shocked to the point of,
well,
what? You know? And I'm like, well, this is my thing. And they're like, yeah, but I didn't know you were going to go like DMT, intergalactic, invisible body, gestated newborn coming out of her forehead. And I was like, well, you were saying rebirth and you know, now when they say do your thing, I'll marinate for a few minutes. I'll be like, you mean do my thing like, and I'll verbally describe it. And then I gauge their reaction. And some people will be like, exactly that. Yeah. And then I'll be like, okay, no, they for real want me to do my thing. Yeah. And then if they have any, well, maybe, then I'm like, well, I'm glad we talked about it. And you know, both of us are glad we talked about it. Yeah. You know, and so it's become just a very natural light dance now when I first meet a client in the first couple minutes or first couple sentences of them saying what they want, I can usually catch their vibe, you know, because I'm absorbing who they are, who their company is, or I've done some research before I've arrived to the meeting. So I know like the highs and lows of their past 2 or 3 years, and I see their trajectory and I see what they're trying to accomplish. Yeah. You know, so I walk in and on the way over there for the past 2 days, I've just marinated and allowed myself to daydream 10 scenarios for them in both directions. And the middle ground of that is something that I know that they'd be safe and that wouldn't surprise them. So once I lock in those ideas and concepts, like here's something they'd be happy with, here's something they'd be happy with, here's something they'd be happy with. Okay. So I got the 3 that like, I know they're not allergic to. Now I'm going to add 2 on each end of that goes crazy left this way, where it's diluted and simplified and like minimalized or something, or more artsy and poetic. And then over here is like my style of like ripping through the veil of reality and da-da-da-da-da, you know, or just, you know, going like spiritually and metaphysically deeper. Yeah. And so I'll pitch the middle ground stuff first. And then as I'm gauging their reaction, I'll be like, okay, they need it to go left, simplified and artsy or more direct. Or they can handle. They're basically saying like, not enough. Well, we kind of wanted more detox. Like we kind of wanted like more detox to do his thing, you know, or you know, they'll say some key words and then I'll be like, oh, they're ready for this kind. And so, you know, I'm an idea person at heart. You know, that's why I build myself as a creative human versus like I'm an artist, you know, because like I'm a collage artist, I'm a body painter, I'm a clothing designer, I'm an MC, I like building, I'm a gardener, you know, I'm just a creative human. Yeah. You know, and so I get to, you know, like give ideas that surprise them and then give them ideas that are backed and interwoven with the traction they came to me for. Yeah. You know, and so I enjoy giving them options that surprise them and then also let them relax. And that's how I'd say it.
You said a minute ago that you are, I meant to ask you this question earlier, but we got in a good vibe there, but the body painting part of it, right? I've often wondered about that because, man, I've gone to shows and I see people in body painting or whatever. Most of them are completely nude or mostly nude. What is it like, first off, doing that? And secondly, like, what's the wife think about body painting?
Well, I'll start that by saying I met my wife as a body paint model. She was a body paint model. And so she met me as a body painter and loved and respected and supported, you know, that whole creative vein or platform of mine. And so, you know, we're a lot of, you know, I've had that question X amount of times over the years. And, you know, certain people want me to have some response where it's, oh, it was crazy, bro. And, you know, but like I've always been like, you know, people who know me, I'm honest, vulnerable, and I protect what I love. Yeah, I'd say it that way. You know, and so I take body painting serious. Like when I see body painters paint like a Bart Simpson face and the boobs are the eyeballs, I feel sad inside.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, one, the intimacy or the vulnerability that person is revealing their body and their silhouette to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And they're counting on me to beautify or enhance the visual absorption of them as a living entity.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I'm clocked in with a goal
mm-hmm.
to honor this person and also honor like that handprint on the cave wall. The pigment, the crushed up mica rocks mixed with water and spit. Body painting is one of the oldest art forms as humans. 3 claw marks. I'm the tiger. Here's the tiger dance. Basically covering yourself with mud and clawing shapes into your mud covered body was like one of our first, well, not one of our first, is one of the like foundational expressions, And so I just kind of come like that, like where I'm a servant to the art form.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to push body painting to a new realm
mm-hmm.
or a plateau that is more respected than the offset amount of artists that are disrespecting. Like
right.
I'm trying to do, I wouldn't say damage control, but I'm trying to put a beam of light on what I feel is a purer essence of the art form.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times people are like, well, will you paint whatever it is? And I'll be like, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, but I'll do this.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, okay. And sometimes they'll ask why and sometimes they won't. But every time they ask why and I tell them, they'll be like, you're right. Let's not do baseballs as the boobs.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's do a full stadium thing and a perspective. And the arm is the bat there's a guy throwing a bat. And so there's sky around the edge of the arm. And then there's a bat and there's a player and he's throwing the bat and there's let's make this person's body like the entire planet that this baseball loving planet exists, or whatever. So I'd like just always try and elevate the scope or the impact and while also like honoring that person who's being vulnerable, and it's a beautiful thing, male and female, any size, I've painted a 300-pound clown all white,
mm-hmm.
mm-hmm. And,
you remember that one?
Yeah. Airbrush from I'm talking the entire, he's full nude,
Yeah.
But I'm taking it serious because he's taking it serious. He's paying me hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
And he, he's an entertainer. Let's just put it that way, or, whatever it is. And, but he needs white clown makeup to stack up on his skin. And he's got folds and he needs to, when his arm bends and his legs bend back out, they're not to be his skin exposed.
Right.
And so we're doing sweat retardant first.
Yeah.
And letting that soak in and rechanneling his sweat glands to his feet and the backs of his knees versus his palms and his armpits in the middle of his back.
Yeah.
And so like logistically being like, no, this like some people are like, oh, a 300-pound guy wants me to paint him all white because he's like a nude clown dancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some people just laugh hysterically. And I'm like literally like, okay. And give me some more information.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's a real gig. It's a real dude and he's really passionate and he really needs some problem solved. He needs creative problem solving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so just randomly like that, where I take everything serious and I take everything as a creative challenge, and it all works itself out. I've been body painting 20 something years. And I'm not saying I'm the only body painter that's never had a complaint, but I've never had a complaint.
Mm-hmm.
No one's ever said he was improper. Well, take that back. I've been slapped once.
Okay.
But the model fell asleep and she's laying on, I have like a massage table, because there's some body paints take 6 and 8 hours. So sometimes you're not sitting for just an hour. And I was doing a body paint calendar, and long story short, whole lady's covered in nature. And I went to go touch up a part on her chest and she had fallen asleep. And when I went to like basically touch like the center of her chest with my brush, out of sleep, she slapped me because she forgot where she was and she thought I was her husband messing with her. So she literally like opened her eyes and goes, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Forgot." And we're all laughing about it and all that stuff. So, there's
as you pick your teeth up.
Yeah. And she made a little contact. It was a little surprising. But I said all that to say like how serious and how dedicated you are at your craft. There's a bunch of other things that don't show up. When you're concentrated and serious, there's not a lot of cliche things that arise or people think when you take it 140, 190% serious. You know what I'm saying? Like,
when did you start to make this into a business?
I think 2002 is when I were given some opportunities where the potential for like a career showed itself. I was always doing like art and creative stuff and making custom clothes and jackets and just for friends and homies and random client-esque, someone paid me $100 to paint a $600, basically just people like trying to oh, you're creative. Let me do something for dirt cheap. I know you'll do it. It's like, because I was 15, 16, 18, Right. And then, getting out into the world and being 21, 22 and just that kind of thing and going, I was living in Arlington and they don't really have like bus transit system out there. So when you get dropped off somewhere or whatever, like for a self-employed person, that was part of my recipe. I would be like, I'm going to talk to every business owner in this town this year. And I pull out the maps go.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, boom, boom, boom. This probably take me 3 days to do this whole 5 shopping, this whole like Cooper Street from the mall to whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I literally would take my time and go door to door. And it costs a little money too, because some businesses, when you walk in, if you're not spending money, they ain't hearing what you're saying.
Right.
So I'd have to gauge, okay, I'm visiting this establishment. I'm looking for opportunities to talk about my services or propose my services or put a seed in them to where I don't come on 100% right now, but I plant the seed and I can come back and chip away at it. And there's a win here, like door-to-door salesman or just any kind of thing like that,
You diffuse them by buying a piece of their service.
Yeah.
And then offering your service at the same time.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Or coming through and just paying them I mean, the majority, I randomly spend money, but I still would. But like, it's really just going in and realizing this person this is what they did with their life. They've dedicated their life to this little yogurt shop. And once I really wrapped my head around that and just kind of came like, respectfully, like, dang, like this ain't the best store in the world, but like all this signage is hand painted or these booths are hand built and they're a little rough, but he fleshed all this out, just recognizing something and then finding that's my ledge or that's my grip, and so I'd walk in, just absorb the place. And if I saw it, like if I noticed it wasn't a corporate thing, like, oh, is it independent? But I'd find the person that looks like the owner in charge of it. And I'd be like, man, I really love your spot. I really love you do it. And I would say 1 or 2 things where I really looked and saw, I like how you did a little whatever with the kick trim. And then like, oh, dang, you noticed. Like, I've been open for a year and no one's ever said that. Like, and so that takes their barrier down a little bit because they're like, dang, he really cares to some degree because he's caring about the things that I cared about that are now invisible to everyone else. And he's bringing it back up to me. And so that would be my in. Where I'm basically like, there's just building camaraderie and rapport.
Yeah.
Basically saying like, I see you. Is it possible that you can see me? And so would go door to door, complimenting businesses or just saying hi and, oh, just seeing what y'all are doing here. I never come in. I always pass by. It's as easy as that. You don't have to lie ever, And then over time, becoming more and more direct. Walking in a spot, buying a t-shirt. I love sneakers, buying sneakers. Be like, man, the store is dope. Boom, boom, boom. Where's the mural though? And you just kind of like elbow your way in there, but you're all smiles. You know, like, or I absorb their thing. I see that he's got a little skull ring on. I'm like, you ain't trying to do the Pusshead Metallica skull, but the thing, but with the chains coming out because you're a jewelry shop thing, but it's the skull mixed with the jewelry. Yeah. You know, because you're called Bone, whatever. And be like, whoa, I didn't even what? Yeah. And then I'm either, I used to have like all my stuff printed out in a little like little plastic slips, whatever they're called, like a little
protective sleeves.
Yeah, I forget what they're. And I have all my stuff printed out and basically like segueing, not reaching for it too early and getting that verbal rapport going and that excitement. Oh, what are you talking about, man? I like the way you described that. No, yeah, I'm an artist. And then like already having my, example that I know is going to resonate with him. So like in between the small talk, I flip through my book and I'm looking for that page of some work that I've already done that's going to connect and bring this bridge even closer. So then when we're riding the excitement of, oh man, you notice I like skulls and my jewelry shop, that's a cool idea. Oh yeah, you do a little photographic, you ain't got to do the whole wall, And while I'm telling him, selling it, I'm flipping to the page. And then right on cue, I turn around and be like, see like how I did for this, except yours is going to be Yeah. And so then he's like, all right, what are you talking? And that was my other thing. I was raised watching my father do barter, at least for 40 to 60% for people that needed it or to make the deal happen. So like, my dad would come home here. I got 15 dozen eggs, or I got all these power tools, and being like, okay, the job still happened. The job wouldn't have happened if he didn't make that concession or basically say what you do is equal to what I do. And so I took that on and that was imprinted in me earlier. Well, dang, what this yogurt shop is the equivalent of my art. It's just broken down into $8 milkshakes. Like, but this is still a currency. Yeah. I like milkshakes. I drink them a couple times or whatever, but I don't buy them often because they're $8 and $10 each. Right. So how about I quit tripping, take $500 off of this thousands and thousands of dollar mural and get $500 in yogurt milkshake credit. Yeah. And then the street hustle and me, I literally, when we do the thing, get it in writing, before cell phone, it was in writing and we both sign it, and so my credit around town at these random, I have a folder where I'm like, I got $3,000 in boxing credit. And I say that one first because that's the one that got away. The gym, that coach was like, no, when I went to go get my credit, he was no longer with them. They had a fine. He's like, that was on him, not on me. So I'm like, dang. But like $1,000 at a nail shop. Because like, what's wrong with telling your girl, take 2 or 3 your girlfriend, go crazy. Like, you can't buy those kind of brownie points sometimes.
Say, girl, I got you. You just go do your thing.
Go nuts.
Like taking a kid to the donut store.
Yeah, and I'm like, toes, nails, take your girlfriend, boom, boom. And, or like clothing shop, there's, I like clothes, and so I do a mural. And they think it's going to take me months to like burn through that credit. Like, I'll finish the mural, point to like 6-7 pairs of shoes, I'll be like $2,000 in gear, put it on the truck, and we're out. Yeah. And then I go to my friend's house and be like, yo, I got these, boom, boom, boom. They're 200, whatever, boom, give me $120. So I using a lot of times, I'll turn it back to money. Yeah. I'll be 60, 70 cents on the dollar. But I can turn it back to money a lot of times. And so, or, gift card for the nail salon, just selling that, like it's got $600 on it left, So I basically just kept myself open and gave myself that thing, that like inner peace dialogue, like what they do is equal to what you do. Quit thinking you are above them because you are a painter, a muralist, or an artist. Like this dude that's making barbecue is a creative human as well. Yeah. And then it all, just clicked and made things easier. And that's probably how I got ahead early on was, so many people are married and locked in I'm worth this much. I know I'm worth this much. And if I don't get this much, you need to get out of my face. And they take it as like disrespect. And it's like, whoa, chill. He's basically saying he wants your services or he or she wants your services. Yeah. This is the threshold of what they can do right now. if you can get close to that, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can still find a way to respect yourself and get close to that number, like he or she is paying for you to do another experiment in your lab.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's government funding.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, some artists have to, that's just the way I looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'd be like, okay, I'm taking less than my whatever. I'm going to do a little barter here, or they can't do barter. I'm going to take literally this amount of cut.
Mm-hmm.
But you know why I'm going to do it? And you just have to have a talk with yourself. And if you're honest with yourself, be like, I've never really done this style at this scale.
Yeah.
Or I've never, and this is a great opportunity for me. You know what I'm saying? As much as it is them, because I know I'm going to do my best work, and be like, and so I'm going to walk away from this paid opportunity to like go deeper down the rabbit hole of my style because of the $360 difference of what I'm demanding, or, $500, whatever.
Yeah.
So like, I really gunned ahead because they're like, how you stay so busy? And be like, well, like, I know what I'm worth, but I'll still work below the monetary of it because I've figured out a way to respect what they do in business, and I've taken that amount in equity and trade or in barter trade, and it salutes them when a business owner when they say here that you'll take $1,000 or $2,000 in their service, and that's literally their budget is juiced now. They're like, oh, we can do this, and I'm gonna make the curtains match the thing because he literally says he's gonna take two. So it's each person their own thing. But like, I found peace in that, where being like, what you do is equal to me, so let's figure it out together.
Well, I remember a long time ago, like you were talking to me one time at a gallery show, and somebody had come up and give me an offer for a painting, and I turned it down. And you said to me, Brandon, sell that piece of artwork. My reply back to you was, I'm paying homage to the people that have invested in me to this point. And if they catch wind that I'm underselling them, then the value of my overall paintings go down. I'm looking to escalate my paintings to a certain level. Right. And I have to ride or die with the last one that was sold, because that's the level of input that someone has said I'm worth to them. And if I immediately go, the next one's down here, right? This person's going to feel jaded. And nothing is worse for business than someone that feels jaded, right?
That's true.
So that's the reason I never took my done. But I've always remembered you saying that. I've always remembered you saying, like, get it out in the world. Let people see what you do. Mm-hmm. There's so much, and that is such a valid point, right? And so that has been a struggle of mine, is to like be honest with a client that comes to me. Don't undercut another client that's come to me. Keep them on par together and grow your client base that way. That's been my path. But I did think that there was such a nugget of knowledge in what you said of, Brandon, get your name out there more. Yeah. It's like, you have something, put your name out there, get it to the world, like more pieces to the world. It's more exposure. And I thought that was great.
And I think I might have even said it in that because I remember part of that where I was like, it's precious, but it's not your precious, like Lord of the Rings style.
Yeah.
Like, and as a calling card out in the world, it's potentially going to bring you more momentum and monetary. Here's the thing, devil's advocate and the yin yang of it. I got a pile of manifestos in my studio that I won't let go for certain amounts. And you're like, no, I know what this is. This is a legacy piece. I did this 10 years ago, and it's still blowing my mind that it's here from out of my mind in reality. So like I have those pieces as well. But then at the same time, I fall onto that thing that I told you is like, it's a gem that you shouldn't be hiding from the world. Mm-hmm. There's certain gems you got to let go to let that momentum, or put that stone in this pond. Let's watch some ripple effects. A good stone with good weight will create ripples that reach the shore.
Right.
And I live my life through a lot of metaphors, because that's a way for me to like attach myself to the importance or the tangibility. Like, every action has a reaction, talking about, a stone in water, So I've given myself a lot of, I said all that to say, through looking at transactions or decisions metaphorically, you can make peace with them quicker. And so like a lot of times when I give someone advice or something like that, it's because I'm like, hey, if you see the trade-off, but also feel the trade-off by being like, yeah, you are taking a hit. You're giving this gem for half price, but it's going to that person that wants to buy it. They're a real fan of your art. It's going to hang on their wall forever. They're never going to sell it. Right. Everyone who comes over to their house, they're going to walk and talk to you. That's the thing above their sofa. Like, did you know you're paying for a walk and talk of that piece for the next 20 years? And this person is a socialite in the scene? Right. Like, it's going to do more giving it to them for half price or 30% off, whatever, is your doable ceiling, right, than hiding a gem in your studio for the right rich person or the right person with the means that really doesn't connect to you, or they're going to sell it the first time your price is going, whatever it is. Right. So there's ways to feel it out and be like, no, somewhere in here, like, this is progress. My full price is progress, but somehow this is more progress. And so I think if a lot of artists would just have that little convo with themselves in that moment, if it feels like real progress, I would do it. And I say all that to say this too. Dolly gave away lithographs and originals for free to random people. Right. Little girls that come up to him at a cafe, at a tea shop, and he drew on the napkin. And that girl fully grew up and died, and her daughter sold it for $195,000. So like, what are we saying? Like that, like, as an artist, everything has to be on an upward scale from the gallery that took 50%, that price point that's attached to a gallery that took 50%, is your mountain steps. Your next step has to be the gallery price plus 1,000 more. No, you're Salvador Dali. If you want to give a painting an original way to a little girl at a tea shop, that's on you. That's how much you got it like that. So I would tell and encourage artists, just sprinkle that in your, just sprinkle it in. Yeah. I'm the artist. I'm giving this to free because this person came to my last art show and they're at this art show and I looked at them and they're welled up like, what? Yeah. And I got goosebumps because I've done that. Like, I've come up to someone and they'll be like emotionally whatever. And I'll be like, hold on. I'm going to get a print. I'm signing it or whatever. Like, and I'm giving you this original, because like, that's my thank you. When I see like that I've reached the right person or that someone has noticed what I've dedicated my life, like the levels or just whatever it is, like you truly dictate, like your monetary, like it's like real estate, the maturity of it is on your daily actions and your momentum. More times than anything else. Yeah.
You see these people show up at the show and they know more about some of the stuff you've painted than you have sometimes. And it's pretty heartfelt, man. Like, it's like, you're shocked. It's like, I'm nobody from nowhere. And some human being walks up and tells me a story about something I did and when I did it. And I was like, I didn't remember that. You know what I mean? It's like,
or I've had someone come to my art show, I do not recognize them. And they'll say, 10 years ago, you painted this piece for my kid. And I've been watching your whole journey. I haven't been able to, I'm shy. But I said, I have to come to this show and just tell him what that piece meant to my son. Yeah. Like I did this piece. Were just his favorite characters. Yeah. Mario. The lady said, Mario, Sonic, Zelda, And I did the piece, but, she's like, do your thing, And I was like, hey, I'm going to add like a couple power words. She's like, fine. And I just put brave. Or no, be brave. Coming out of Zelda. She's like, didn't like eloquently spiel this whole thing, but like in one random passing goes, hey, man, that piece that's been on my son's wall, like that be brave, ended up being like a backline thing for him. And I referred to it and he referred to it randomly over the years. I just wanted to like tell you like, thank you for like just doing that.
Inspiring.
And I got goosebumps where I was like, dang, like, I took the chance because of like, that's what I wanted to happen. I want like, this man's like a 7-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Like, and his favorite characters, and they're all jumping out in action pose, but more than just the action pose, if I can attach a sentiment where it's like, this is an anthem.
Yeah.
Something I can live behind, something I could die behind.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm big on like, you know, because I'm an MC or a poet and I'm also an artist. So I'm like, man, the power of the word, you know, and that's why I made Artwork for Humans, which is like an upcycled clothing line I have. Where I just go to thrift stores, buy the coolest pieces that are cool to me. You know, a lot of utilitarian stuff, not a lot of loud prints, some Hawaiian prints. Basically, I try and find like a boring thing that's not selling. And I strategically cover the stains or the blemishes on the clothing with big anthems, power words, or inspirational quotes. And then what I call iconic simple doodles, where it's a very simple doodle, but it has like a message or a vibe that you can like instantly absorb, you know, and where it's like two faces melding over each other and they share an eye. Yeah. And then the smile goes between both of them. Yeah. And it says, we are all one, you know, and something like that. So we're like, and because like part of me was like, man, there's like, when you witness art, or I've absorbed so many experiences that I want to create a piece of art that tells someone about it. And then they look at it and then they are thinking and to describe that piece, and they now have to oratorically like regurgitate the emotions that I trapped into that painting, you know? And so sometimes when someone's like telling me about one of my paintings, they'll be on the vibe of it. And then they'll also say something surprising to me where I'm like, oh, that was subconscious. Yeah. I didn't even really, but now that you say it, you're exactly right. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And so I kept experimenting and I don't know if I came up with it, who knows, but, cause I don't study the art world myself, but self-explanatory art where it's a canvas and I'll just write on the canvas what the painting is, you know, and it was super exciting for me because I started with a piece of plywood in my studio, and it goes like, I wish I could quote it, but it was like, it said like, a piece of plywood with an inspiring quote on it. And I was like, you know, like I smoke to that, you know, like, damn, like there's something here, So I'm like, go even more, like describe. So then it goes. So then I got this painting hanging in my studio now that it's got a little bit of TLC foam just splashed on the background, and it goes. And then in black paint, I had this idea for a painting where it's just a bunch of words on a canvas and the background's half finished, drips and all, but somehow it works and you just look at it and all you can say is, that's dope. And so it's like the whole like experience of stumbling upon a cool painting, but you're like oratorically like meta fourth walling it. Yeah. To be like, this painting is actually nothing, but it's something because I'm like describing what I would have done and you can see it, but yet the meta thing is like, the idea is to just say it's a half finished swath of paint with words on it, but somehow it works. And, you know what I'm saying? And so like, and part reason why like I got hooked on that, where I was like cleverness wins in media and advertising more than heartfelt. A lot of commercial Super Bowl commercials, you know, it's that quirky little seal as a seal, and you know all that.
That's ridiculous. Yeah,
it's that cleverness is what goes viral more than, you know, the super sad or the super, you know, cheesy happy or whatever. Yeah, and so I was like, you know, I got to remember that like. The cleverness gets the smirk, and the smirk gets the, you know, like it touches a heartstring, or it slows the person down enough to like marinate in the experience. Like when you catch someone off guard with like a cleverness, they're like, ha ha, and they have to they look around, they try and tell someone, look what this guy did, you know, da da da. And so like I've tried to do that over the past couple of years. Like, how could I be like clever and quirky and surprisingly clever, or quirky, clever, as a way to get their attention, you know? So like I made in my little clothing line called Earthside, and the label's called Earthside, Rep the Planet, because it's like all these people claiming East Side, North Side, and, you know, just gang mentality from the 90s and all that. It's like, actually we're all on one planet, It's Earth Side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not South Side. He's, you know, all this stuff. And I was like, dang, this clothing company should just make clever, quirky stuff that gets people's attention and also has like a heartfelt. So like I made an all green hat in the same font as the MAGA hat. And it says, make a racist lose their job. And make America is like make a, and then make a racist. So verbally, you see the make a, and you think it's about to be a MAGA hat. And then it says, make a racist lose their job.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what the hat was.
Mm-hmm.
But what surprised me is I didn't realize that when a racist reads the hat, subconsciously it catches them off guard because they think they're walking up to someone wearing a MAGA hat in a different color.
Right.
And they read, make a racist lose their job. And they flinch and they jump or they'll swallow hard or their eye will twitch. And so I was wearing this hat for a couple of weeks and I go, damn, low key, I made a product that lures a certain type of person that has an X amount of hatred in their heart. It lures them in with comfortability and then sucker punches them.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying all MAGA hat wearers are racist.
Yeah.
But for the percentage of people that I made a clever product for both sides of the scope. Because if you're not a racist and you read the hat, you go, oh man, where do I need that hat? Like, oh my God. And then if you are a racist, it lures you in with the comfortability. It's like a logo flip, you know, shell, where you take the SH off and it says hell and it has two little horns. There's been logo flips for as long as like the fashion game has been sarcastically growing, you know what I mean? And so that's why I'd say like, that's my own version of like experimenting with cleverness as a tool or as a hook.
You feel like you made a Dakota ring out of that one.
Yeah.
Like I can pull this up and I can see who people are really by.
Yeah, it's the
spy glasses.
What's the glasses that the put on the damn glass they live.
Yeah.
You know, and so I've done little stuff, you know, and I only made like 50, 45 hats of that, you know, and it sold out pretty quick. I got 2 on my shelf and, you know, as an artist, I'm like, dang, I should make another run of those, you know, but then also like the artist in me that's like on to the next, because I have a backlog of, I have a traffic jam of ideas. Yeah. And I'm like, I could restock that. You know, I got people in my inbox, hey, when are you going to make that run of that hat again? And, you know, I'm like, I got you, you know, next spring or, you know, I'll put a loose thing to it and then do another run like a year later. But like for me as a creative, just getting that feedback is like a mad scientist getting the vial color turns a little more to what the color it should be. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, so if that worked, I think they're ready for the next idea. Well, you know,
this kind of reminds me of that same story of you telling me the first time you had a breakthrough in clothing with the Run DC shirt.
Right. Exactly.
Right. You want to tell the people about that one?
So like that's a prime example. Like, and that was in 2008, where Obama was running for president. It was a couple months right before voting was going to happen, and I was like, I want to make something that like one gets the young vote out, because I always believe that like leader of our country, you know, every president that we choose, let's hopefully have one that's truly more for the people, you know, and that stuff. And so I'm like, how can I just like do my part to like make sure the young people who aren't corrupted by corporations yet help decide, you know, the things. So I was just marinating. I'm like, okay, like we need to like, how do we let people know that like the right person running DC is gonna, or like just the right person running DC could like really make a change in our country and in the world. And just like kind of like just literally saying that, I'm like, oh, the right person to run DC, run DMC, you know. So my idea, like what's close to like, how could I run DC? Or, you know, Obama's gonna run DC, you know. And then I was like, oh, there it is, Run DMC. So it's Obama dressed as Run DMC with the gazelles, the leather bucket, the trench, the boom, boom. And then I'm gonna take the Run DMC logo and rearrange it to say Run DC and do a logo flip. And so I did that. And I had a clothing company that I designed with one of my best friends coming up in high school, Anthony. And so me and Anthony sold this company to a football player in California with us as the creative directors on paperwork for 3 years, getting a paycheck, the whole thing. So we moved out to California and living in the Bay. And his dad owned a t-shirt shop. That's why he was interested in buying a fully running clothing company that had tons of, I had books of graphic. I did like graphics for 2 years straight.
Yeah.
Because I had this combo with my friend Ant. He goes, I know a football player friend. He'll buy like let's just make the full thing and sell it to him. So we made like a full clothing line, sold it to him. We're over there. And so I'm late night running t-shirts in a t-shirt shop that I have keys for. And I'm like, I just need to like make my own viral product. And then I was like, well, hold on. I just need to make a viral product for this clothing line that I sold to this guy that like, I'm in this, like, what? Like, hello?
Yeah.
So I literally just sat down and marinated for that like a whole day, came up with the idea, banged the graphic out, took it to the t-shirt shop, printed a bunch, like 88 of them, 100 of them. And then since he's a football player, San Francisco 49ers started giving them to some of his football players. And then I said, well, who can you reach? Like, and he was like, I can reach Ludacris. So I was like, yes, that and Ludacris was still big in 08 and all that stuff. And so we got Ludacris wearing it. And then from Ludacris wearing it, here's where it gets rowdy. From Ludacris wearing it at an inauguration party, he's on stage or something, in front of some photos that came out. And another t-shirt maker saw it and made a bootleg of it. His bootleg was corny and just wasn't hitting mine. We'll pull up the photos. And he got it on AJ from 106 in Park.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had made a website, rundc08.com. And had, a little splash page with the t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so when AJ wore it, they typed in Run DC t-shirt, and I had like meta tagged, 50 different ways, Run DC t-shirt, Obama t-shirt, Run DC Obama t-shirt, just all the stuff. Basically, I came up second or third in, first page stuff. And I woke up to like $25,000 in orders from the bootleg being on 106 in Park. Because they were typing Run DC t-shirt, Obama, run, Mm-hmm. And he had he actually did rundc09.com and like even ripped that or whatever, trying to ride the coattails of that. But it was already done.
Yeah.
And and I tell people this, everyone wants to go viral until you go viral. Because if you're not ready to go viral, it gets ugly real quick.
Right.
Like, imagine waking up to $25,000 in orders, which is hundreds of shirts. Okay, I have about 40 shirts left.
Yeah.
There's overnight shipping from Saudi Arabia. It's global. Orders from Africa overnight. It's supposed to be on a plane in 2 hours. I got negative complaints rolling. I got people, it's just rolling. Where's my shirt? It's supposed to be out on the whatever. I don't see the tracking. And I'm like, whoa. So I literally tell the father who owns the t-shirt shop of the guy who bought the clothing line, I'm like, hey, we gotta have a quick meeting. Like, we went viral last night. And he's like, this is awesome. I'm like, actually, like, we have to print all night. Like, I need 700. Like, the orders are still rolling in. We're at like 40, 50K in t-shirt sales now. And it's been 48 hours because the reruns of every time 106 Park, the rerun hit of that show, here are just thousands and more orders. So I caught him up to what was really going on. I was like, no, for real. And so he goes, oh, so like we need to like print t-shirts for 3 days straight. I'm like, yeah. He goes, okay, so these workers, we only got X amount of workers, like 4 guys that really run the presses. And I run presses and stuff, but it's automated. Long story short, he's like, we need to go to the bank, take out a little X amount of money and pay like all these workers in cash and like run a little intense little shop real quick. And so like, just all the things that come with that, like, dang, like this dude, I'm really telling this dude he can't go home to his family. Like, what's going on? I'm like, no, for real. Like, I'll pay you a couple, and they're happy to do it and all that stuff. But it just got real quick where we're selling it for weeks, months. All of a sudden, it's in there's a Wale video with Lady Gaga where she did like the hook back in the day. He busts out of this huge wall wearing the Run DC shirt. I'm like, hold on, this is like, okay. And so then we go to Market, which is a magic show, which is Men's Apparel Guild International Convention, which happens in Vegas every year. And it's like any brand who's any brand, between 3,000 and 30,000 just for a 10 by 10 to put your booth. Anyway, long story short, we got our booth and I'm showing the shirt and I see Rev Run's daughter coming down the aisle. So I start getting sweaty, nervous. I'm like, well, I need to be honest and transparent and just go tell her why I made the shirt. I really just wanted to inspire the young vote, like straight up. I want to do my part or whatever. And so I said, I need to leave the booth. So I told my assistant, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go meet her and I'm going to walk and talk her to the booth. And I'm going to try and have everything spilled out before she gets to the booth. So I went and did that. Hey, it's nice to meet you. I made a T-shirt with a Run DMC logo flip with Obama to get the young vote out. I hope you and your family aren't mad. Do the full, just polite spiel. Get to the booth, and she quiet for a minute. She goes, I like that. And I was like, okay, like man, that's low key, like that's a green light in my book, like whatever. And so she starts to walk away and I go, hey, give me your info. I'll send you a whole crate of it. She was like, thank you so much. Sends her assistant. I'm giving some info. Boom, thank you. Give her a couple of shirts. And we had made a T-shirt dress. That's what it was. She's like, I like a T-shirt. I like that T-shirt dress. I was like, yeah, I'll send you a whole box of stuff. So overnight, like 200 pieces, $100-something for the weight of the box. Anyway, long story short, like an $800 box. Yeah. Which still is a hit for me. And then a couple of days there, cease and desist starts coming. Bam. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I respect that. She showed her father and her father goes, nah, it's clever. I don't care. Like I bled and died for this logo, He's siphoning, thinking that we're associated, So I'm like, all right. And no lie, they got like 10 lawyers. Like in a meeting, I got one lawyer. And they start going through the thing. And they're demanding bank records. And we've already, I ain't gonna say it, but we made X amount, which is like a smiley amount, And they start going through the thing of the visual copyright infringement, And then I go, read the specific for me again. And they're like, something Helvetica, double stack line, red bar, and they're describing what the logo is. And like a beam of light, I was like, this is why you did all those things when you were making the graphic. I was like, this is why you like stretched the DC words. Why? This is why the red bar, you actually clicked on a different red and you made it a little thinner. It's like, this is why you did all that. Like, it's like, wake up. Kind of like, it's like giving myself a little Jiminy Cricket message. And so I just like, well, technically, I free transformed that Helvetica font, which makes it not that font anymore. This is a shape that's been just stretched. This isn't Helvetica font anymore. And this bar width isn't the bar width that you're telling me is your trade thing. And the red that y'all use, I didn't use that red. And they're kind of like looking at me and they're like confirming and stuff. And basically, long story short, like it came down to just a clean cease and desist and them not demanding bank records through I don't know if they were impressed or caught off guard or I don't know what it was, just Lord Angels and Creator with me or whatever. But we left that meeting with them not demanding bank records. And we had done over 200K on that one T-shirt graphic.
Smiley amount.
Yep.
Oh, I hear stories all the time, like of yours, right? Of people shutting stuff down. Like my buddy Tex went to a battle with Nike with his stuff, and he won his deal. And then I see these, people doing hoodies and shirts and stuff. And it's like literally like pictures of the Cowboys or pictures of the Mavs or pictures of things like that. And I'm like, how are you guys getting away with this?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just they're not on the right radar. And there's a lot of foundations and the person's trust when they're living or non-living. And they decide who to go after when they look at the level of intake or, you know, like Michael.
Volume.
Yeah, like I did a Michael Jackson t-shirt when he died and it said, "Long live the king." And because there was this photo where he was like in a king outfit and he was holding like a crown. It was like a real photo from back in the day. And it did this quote on the back that was real, you know, like one of the most profound things I think he said, you know, like he's basically saying like, we don't need more guns and war. We need more vulnerable hugs and love. And, you know, he's basically from his point of view, like, you know, we're all brothers and sisters type thing. And Michael Jackson's estate goes after almost anyone that bootlegs Michael Jackson stuff. And so like, I knew not to do a bunch of that because I was like, it'll come quick, or, you know, just the way, because every shirt I made, the football player would wear after games, or, you know, he's out at the clubs and all. So, you know, I knew not to like make a lot of that. But then there's like, you know, I have some friends that just take hip hop covers of their favorite hip hop albums and make a small run per order, you know, and where some people like look down on that, like, oh, that you just stole their album art. Like, actually, you know, like I'm just making this for the people who think that this album is the greatest album of all time, and that it touched them or was instrumental, inspirational in their life. And you know, you're selling a $20 t-shirt on $10 blank, you know, and long story short, you're making $3 and $5 per shirt, and you're doing it per order to the people that just love that album cover, you know what I'm saying? So like, shout out to like those artists that like, they're just making connoisseur life items for people who are the real fans, because the real estates, let's be honest, the real estates, they don't respect it. They're not touting that album cover like how we love it. And so like, if y'all ain't making it, you should know that we love that album cover for all time. You could be license that album cover out, but you're not. Right. Because your family members or someone who in a business position that doesn't really care about the culture and the art contribution or whatever. So like, I look at it from that point of view where I'm like, if someone's making a bootleg item that is truly for the fans, there's a space in an arena for that. If you creatively stand on your own enough, or you don't do a cash grab, you know? So a lot of people have come at me where they're like, oh, you did this logo flip or whatever. And, you know, I ain't gonna say no names, but like there's this company that like took a logo that the city owns and found a trademark loophole and came up to me talking about, you can't print that. I'm like, this is this City of Dallas logo though. Like, you don't own it. You found a loophole to do it for fashion or whatever. Like, you're talking to another creative. I've been doing this logo, because basically like my DTOX art symbol, I make there's a triple D for Dallas, but I made one D turn into 3 just with the top arch. Yeah. And it came from Davies brothers. There's 3 of us. We're all artists. We had a mural company called 3 of 1 where we all do the same thing. So it was birthed out of that. So I started chopping it up with him like, yo, I'm not getting aggro really, like, but like, I've been making this graphic since 1999. And I'm having a conversation with you in 2022 about this, and your copyright didn't go through until years, you know, like, you know, so there's what am I trying to say all this for? They're like bootlegs. There's like if you can, like a Banksy, like if you can recognize the disrespect, the art form of the disrespect or the logo flip, and you can recognize what's happening. Like, I think bootlegs and homages, bootleg homages are like a part of pop culture and society. You know, like the hypercolors, color changing sweatshirts. There was bootleg versions of that. There's bootleg Bape. There's colorways of bootleg Bape that I like better than the real colorways. You know, and so I said all that to say that, like, somewhere in there, if you're a creator and someone knocks off your thing, there's a way to look at it where you're like, well, how did they approach it? And did they do something that I can actually respect?
As it's funny, I know the backstory on all of those. Just being in the art scene, you know, but as the art scene, which is growing, would you agree it's growing in Dallas?
Oh yeah. No, I've been waiting years to to just stumble upon this many virtuosos. Just, you know, I'm bumping into like virtuosos, and I've been waiting years for that.
Yeah.
You know, I used to have to like find them out.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'll just be at a random whatever, and I'm like, man, I love your whatever. And he's like, yeah, I made it. And I'm like, damn, like, hold on, do you sell them? No. Can I commission one? Like, you know, it's like excitement overflowing now in Dallas. It's just, you run into it now.
I'm excited about it as well. And quite frankly, like, I'm someone I'm 5 generations from this area, right? So like, I've been here for a long time. I didn't grow up in downtown Dallas, but even myself coming into that scene, like I've been invited through a lot of places and gotten into a lot of places. Do you see, and what I've seen is a lot of clickiness, right?
Yeah.
First off, you weren't from here. You didn't do this. And I'm like, 5 generations from this area. What are you talking about? Right.
Right.
But it's hard as an artist to be accepted by the other artists that are there too.
Yeah.
Right. Have you seen clickiness as well in your walk?
Yeah. It exists and will never go away because there's a certain amount of artists that became artists for that recognition and for that clickiness. And so there's artists that perpetuate that stigma or that clichéness because they feed off of it. And sometimes their work backs it up and sometimes their work doesn't back it up, you know, so they'll always be there. But I would say like, you know, like a dog chasing a chrome bumper. You know, it sees its reflection for a second as the truck's pulling away and it thinks there's another dog there and it's chasing the truck, trying to catch up to that little dog in that chrome bumper, you know, and then you realize either halfway through before you're tired, which is burnout, like, oh, I'm chasing these things that I don't even really care about.
Right.
And that's when the dog just turns off and then is on another adventure. So, you know, metaphorically, again, like, that's how I'd look at it. Like, are you an artist that's chasing your reflection in a chrome bumper? Are you like, are you gunning for the right reasons? Are you on the scene supporting artists? Are you at those art shows for the right reason? Right. To see their body of work, take in their message, you know, connect or support, shake their hand, say, hey, I love what you did. Keep going, you know, just encouraging what, you know, that's gonna reveal the company that you really keep. Because if you're having meaningful conversations or truly absorbing the artwork at an art show or truly come to support, you know, bring that artist a flower or a gift or, you know, just some words of encouragement, you know, the energy that we all put off invisibly, it connects you with your tribe more than you realize. You know, someone else silently looking at a painting, those people who silently look at paintings and turn their head side to side, they find each other. You know, and then the people that are saying, where are we going after this? And they're just there as a stop, they find each other. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so like, for me, I've always been an outcast and I've always been cool with it or content with it. Yeah. It's never itched me to the point of chasing my reflection in something or chasing something that like took me so out of pocket or, you know, I've never, like how I say it, like, you know, notoriety is a dual-edged sword that is a harsh mistress. You know, notoriety. Oh, you're the guy that, like Banksy. Oh, you're the guy that does the one color stencils. Okay. So now you did a full color one of a chapel stained glass window. It was amazing. All these people like, full color Banksy? Ugh, disgusting. You know? So it's like, imagine your notoriety pigeonholing you to the point of your true fans turning against you because you didn't keep it real. But they don't know how trapped you feel. That momentary decision that you pushed that got you on or gave you flight. Like, you don't know the torture of being locked into that one style for the rest of my career. Oh, yeah. You know, or whatever, you know. So there's a million splays from that, you know, like a lot of, you know, in rap or whatever, I don't want to be famous. I just want the money. Or, you know, I don't want sex. I just want the top. You know, just there's all these like replacements for what they're truly after, you know. And so there's like, you have to put that helmet on before you even grab for that hat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do I really want this? Like, do I want to sign with this? Am I really gunning for a gallery representation? You know? So that was like part of my itch over the years. I was like, dang, I got all these manifestos. I know I can churn this stuff out. You know, I'm that focused. I got them piling up. No gallery really understands me. No gallery really knows what to do with me. There's not really this like ornate, because I'm like an ornate, eclectic, metaphysical geek, nature, technology, Frankenstein baby. You know, as much as I want to just paint nature, I also want to paint like a machine on X5 and the Dune planet and the spice and the travel without moving and, you know.
Yeah.
And so keeping it real with myself, I'm like, you know, I've had I've had several gallery meetings where they say, we've seen all your styles. If you'll paint this one and change this, and this about this one style, we'll represent this style. And we'll take this much and and I need this many works before we'll publicly say that we work with you. You know, and there's just all this stuff where I'm like, dang, by the time you get through that list, I'm allergic and itching and I know that's not me.
Yeah.
You know, and so I basically say, hey, I'm not going to chase like a gallery relationship until that gallery owner or that gallery relationship comes to me and says, it's important for both of us. Like, this isn't going to be just a moneymaker for you. Me as an artist or a gallery owner that represents this kind of work, you're the kind of artist that I want to who I got in business to represent. So I've had those moments and those flashes and relationships with certain galleries or entities where they'll invite me to a group show and, you know, and they'll hang a special piece and sometimes it'll be the anchor of a show. Sometimes it'll be on the way to the bathroom. Yeah. You know, so it's either one. But at the same time, part of my hindrance is they're like, I need 12 of them that look just like this. I'm like, well, therein is the rub. Because Tuesday is body paint day and Wednesday is collage day. You know, and just like, you don't know how I work. Like, I'm chipping away at 10 styles and, you know, just it is what it is. I don't know if I can do 10 of these in a row, you know? And because I also listen to myself, I don't want to like dilute my ideas or dilute my
progress
or just my output. Like, you know, if I have to do 10 of these, that means like for sure 3 of them aren't going to be my babies. And I don't make art that aren't like precious to me or whatever. You know, I don't do the churn out thing. You know, destiny and fate to me are 2 different things.
Right.
Like, or can be 2 different things. Like, destiny is like what was given to you at birth in your birthright through your blood imprint. Right. Through the power of the time you came into time, space, the movement of the stars, all that stuff. And then, you know, fate is like what's handed to you after all your decisions cut through all that destiny that was imprinted. There's a way to cut through your destiny and go straight to your fate because of your choices, which are motivated by greed, lustfulness, slothfulness, you know, 7 deadly sins type stuff. So I try and give myself an old world brain and then a future forward, futurist type approach to things and try and really make the blend of it where I'm like, dang, like in an old world sense, am I going on cowboy law? Am I being a man of my word? You know, artistically, integrity wise. And then am I forward thinking, you know, like this AJ, this shoe here, you know, that's for that, or a clothing company that me and a friend have. And he said, I want an AJ1 Chicago homage, but I want you to change the structure of the shoe. It isn't just change the swoosh and I want you to do all this stuff. I want the sole to be like a green bottom, how women wear red bottoms. I want men to wear green bottoms. And, you know, and there's all this stuff that went into it where I'm like, yeah, I like that. And I will make that AJ1 homage that's X amount different to where I can stand on all those points that are different. But saying, because the AJ1 in Chicago colorway is one of the greatest shoes of all time.
Like, no, I totally understand that. Like, one, I love, you know, your perspective, highly intelligent guy. I really appreciate that. You got deep thought, deep emotion. And I appreciate you coming to experience that with us today.
Appreciate it, man.
Contradictory on some of the like, hey, don't do this. Hey, do that. Like, I think you're still working through some of who you are too. You know, and that's a part of the journey for all of us, right? Nike's gonna hit you up on this instantly. Right. And that'll be something you'll have to deal with too, right? Famous people be something that you probably will never touch, right? But t-shirt thing on the other side is something that you did touch, you know, kind of two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
But we all take our journey and we all go through that thing. My thing is, as an artist, we're all out here trying to survive. We're all here trying to express who we are, share our heart to the world, and show them what our skill set is, what we can do. And I appreciate that about you as much as anything, because you can step into so many different worlds. And I'm highly impressed at that stage. So,
awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, 100%. You want to tell everybody where they can find you at?
Yeah, I'm DTOX Art, DTOX ART on Instagram. My name is Jerod Alexander Davies. I go by Jerod DTOX Davies, and my website is thejerod.com. I spell my name Jerod, so TheJerod.com. And my merch is on artworkforhumans.com, where I do a lot of my everything we've been talking about, you know, and it's an exciting time for Dallas, Texas, and the world, you know. And so I moved back I was in Cali for a couple of years through 2011. I actually came back here instead of accepting like a job in a glass tower doing like a creative director type position in San Francisco, because I really felt that it was like Dallas and Texas's time to like grow into their own as like a third coast city, you know. So I'm super excited to be a part of that, you know, and to just like encourage my fellow creatives, you know. That's kind of like my whole thing. It's like, dang, you know, DTOX just did this, and then a couple of days later, he's still going. He's doing something else, you know. And I do that because that's what I need to do to get everything out that's in me, or do everything that I know I'm capable of. But also at the same time, I'm like showing someone that like you can just be like creative or have a hobby that can be a contribution that is like a vehicle or a catalyst to like contribute and change the world around you.
Yeah.
You know, so I truly enjoy that. I truly live it. You know, that's why like as a commission artist, I spend most of my career time as a commission artist, because I truly enjoy helping bring other people's visions to life.
Yeah, you can definitely see your heart, man. I really appreciate that. And man, just keep pushing for Dallas, you know. And
thank you.
And I'm proud to call you one of our own. So
thank you, man.
Happy to have you.
And I'll end it this way. You're one of my art heroes. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but like for me as a collage artist, a painter, and a graffiti, or like you meld like what I separate as different facets that I truly am passionate about. You meld a bunch of them effortlessly, what I feel. And so it speaks to me, you know, and it's distinct. And I feel it's a real contribution to the art scene of as a whole. We're not just talking about the state. Where, you know, your work can stand next to street graffiti collage artists in Madrid, or, you know what I mean? Like, you are distinctly you, and you are relaxed in that while still finding your way, like me.
Yeah.
And that's inspiring, because like, no, he's doing his style, you know, and I see influences and growth, but at the same time, like, there's an emotional daydream that you're pulling from, that it's still concentrated by the time it reaches reality. And that is rare. And I love it, respect it, and support it.
Thank you very much. That means more than you know. So I really appreciate that. Well,
Much
respect.
Much love, man.
And thank you. You as well. For the Blueprint, till next time, peace out.